Okay.
All right.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning I bid to our interviewee Mr. Iskandar and my fellow friends Harith, Aisyah Syakirah, Nuur Ain and Nik Farah. So today we are going to accomplish our task 1 on philosophy and education in Malaysia course EDUP3013 throughout this virtual interview session entitled The Beauty of Malaysia Education. So, brief introduction about our interviewee today. He is Mr. Iskandar Daud, a lecturer from Institut Pendidikan Guru Kampus Kota Bharu, Kelantan. He has been teaching for the past 27 years, specifically in TESOL. Moving on to Nuur Ain.
Okay, thank you, Ainul Mardhiah, for that brief introduction. And before I move on to my first question, I'd like to briefly explain about the International Performance Standards and PISA and as well as TEAMS. Okay, um, as you all know that the International Performance Standards or SPA, it is a method that can evaluate the level of effectiveness in a curriculum and also a teaching method of a country. But other than that, it also compares the students' achievements from numerous countries. It is through an international assessment, and Malaysia also took part in two of the assessments, which are PISA and TEAMS. PISA, or Program of International Standards Achievement, we know that it aims to evaluate the students' efficiency in reading, math, and also science. And meanwhile, TEAMS, it aims to evaluate students' achievements in algebra as well as cognitive skills. However, when Malaysia participates in these programs, it shows that Malaysian students' thinking skills are still at a low level. So, Mr. Is, what do you think about the implications of the international performance standards towards our education system? Does it change anything?
Okay, thank you, Ain. It's a very complicated question, right, for me to answer. International performance standard, obviously, for our country, in fact, for any country, we have to have a certain standard that we have to follow, all right? And obviously that we follow whatever international performance standard there is out there that we need, because we need to compare ourselves with other countries. Otherwise, we are not going to be moving forward, because if we keep comparing our standard with ourselves, then we won't be moving forward. So we have to have. So having international performance standard is good. All right, it's something that we have to do and we have to follow. Um, of course, UN also has its own standard, right? United Nations has its own standard, and in fact, there are certain things, at least as far as I know, that UN indicates that every child must have basic education. That means everybody has to know how to read and write. All right. But again, I think statistically speaking, in 2018, there's been, I think UN reported more than 260 million children are still uneducated. So if we don't follow or we don't comply to international performance standards, this is what's going to happen. Our children won't be having basic educations. Uh, yeah, but whose standard are we looking at? So we used to look at the British standard then, all right? Okay, because we were occupied by the British, okay? And then I think later on, US became the powerhouse in education. So we sent a lot of students overseas to US especially. Then we have this, I'm not sure whether you are old enough like me to remember, okay? We have the Look East policy, we send students to Japan, all right? And then later, I think now, Korea is also another country that we look up to. But internationally speaking, Finland maybe. So all these countries could be the ones that are achieving this international performance standard. As to what are the implications of this IPS, international performance standards to our own education system, there are plenty, in fact. All right, there are plenty. If we want to begin our history in education, we talk about, going far back, even before the independence, when we have the two kind of school systems, the informal system and the formal system. All right, just after independence, you've got the madrasas, which were informal, and then you've got the Chinese vernacular, the Malay vernacular, the Indian vernacular, the English schools. All right. If you're talking about implications, even these schools were implication of then the international performance standard then. All right, we may not be calling it international performance standards, but we had it then. All right, if you're talking about the madrasas, uh, um, the standard that they were following were the Middle Eastern standard, right? That's why they had all this memorization of Quran, and then the um, the learnings of these religious values and religious knowledge. The Malay vernacular may looked at that time to Indonesia, because at that time, early independence, we had so many teachers from Indonesia coming in at that time. Uh, all right. The Chinese, obviously, they looked up to the Chinese education system, right? And so the Indian vernacular, and of course the British system for the English schools. So all this. So if you're talking about international performance standard, it's not only now, all right? It started way then, all right, way then, but they may not call it international performance standards, okay? But the standard was there nevertheless to the countries they looked up to. Okay, that is on that one. In fact, now what we can look at the policies, how the policies change when we compare ourselves to countries around the world. We've got the over the years, we've got the Barnes report, we've got the Fanwu report, we've got the Raza report, then you've got the Education Act, and then you've got the Pelan Pembangunan Indo PPI. What is it? Say it again. Plan
PINPP.
PIP.
P.
PINPP.
I can't remember. Okay, and PIPPN, right? Isn't it? The
Yes.
National Education Master Plan, Development Master Plan. All right, and now we have the Malaysian Education Blueprint 2013-2025. So in terms of curriculum, because I was asking about implication, so that's one of the implications, right? We change our curriculum. We change our policies, our education policies, from the. If you, I don't know whether you've done this. Maybe you'll do it later. The first would be the Barnes report, just after 1957, I think, just after independence, when the Barnes report talked about the education of the Malays, all right? Because comparing the Malays at that time, they were not literate, okay? So the policies then to educate Malays to read and write. Hence, you've got all these Malay vernacular schools, and then you've got later all these schools that are now considered elite schools, right? Then you've got the Fanwu, all right? In Barnes' report, actually, they wanted to to slowly abolish other vernacular schools like the Chinese and the Indian. So the Chinese were not happy. So they asked to review, and hence came the Fanwu report. And the report actually contributed to the change in policy, trying to, that's why the Chinese enjoy, because many countries do not do not allow schools other than the national schools, right? But here we allow vernacular schools. It's a good thing for the Chinese, right? Because we can keep their culture. So that's one of the implications, the change in terms of policies. Because in order to keep up globally, to compete globally, we have to change our policies, all right? Now we have the Malaysia Education Blueprint 2013-2025, which actually focuses more on technology, on the science and all these subjects that can now give us advantage at the world stage. That's number one. All right. Sorry, it's a long answer, Ain, because we're talking about implication. Okay. Then we also have implication in terms of policy. Then the curriculum. In fact, the curriculum. Uh, we have changed our curriculum, right? From uh, uh, curriculum, what do you call it? The old curriculum, and then you have the KBSR, right? Then you move to KSSR. Now you have KSSM. All right. All these changes in the curriculum because the old curriculum could no longer accommodate or keep up with the current pace in the world today, in the world of education today. Obviously, if you look at the old curriculum, nothing was mentioned about technology, about use of ICT, for example. All right, then you have KBSR that when in fact the old one didn't have any name. Okay, they call it curriculum lama because after the curriculum Bharu came out. All right, so but KBSM is a start when technology started to come in. Why? Because we have to keep pace with the world. All right, so this is one of the implications as well. Now we have the KBSM after starting 17, right? KSS. You are the product of KSSM. No, yeah, 2017. All right, you are the product of KSSM. Okay. When I was in school years ago, all right, and when you were still in Loh Mahfuz, all right, I had no my curriculum didn't even have a name. All right. So how, if you are referring to the world international standard, performance standards, you've got to keep up and change your policies, and then your curriculum has to change as well, so that you can keep pace with the world. You also have to instill educational programs. The third one, so you've got the change in implication in terms of policies, education policies, implications in terms of the change in curriculum, implication in terms of you've got to create current educational programs because to keep pace with the world. For example, again, you are still very young, but I was one of the trainers for, if you know, at one point we taught English and maths in English. Were
Yes.
you were you were you
Yes,
part of
yes,
that time?
Yeah, we were part of that.
yeah,
You were in primary school,
yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
during
then
primary.
they abolished the whole system. All right,
Mm.
Mm.
that was was when our prime minister Tun Mahathir at that time was arguing that we always had this science and mathematical knowledge secondhand. Why? Because we always got it late. Okay, because almost all researchers were done in English and published in English. So it took us some time to reach this knowledge. You need to get people to translate, and then by the time we've got the knowledge, and other people have moved about 8 years ahead. So that was in terms. So that was one of the things. So change in terms of educational program, and we have now. I think somebody mentioned HOTS. All right, you've got to create students who are no longer just say yes, okay, and then explain, but to also think and to be creative, to be analytical, and to be creative. So we have HOTS. I think for the past, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, all right, we've got HOTS. Then I think the most recent for us that concerns you as well, because you are going to be English teachers, the CEFR, right? So we are even now all English exams are based on CEFR. So to keep, uh, um, what does CEFR stand for?
CFR is Common European Framework of Reference, I think, for
Reference, right?
languages.
Yeah. Okay. The Common European Framework of Reference. Okay, which started in UK, right? So that is another standard that we follow. In fact, it's followed throughout the world. It's been refined again and again and again. Okay, so we follow that standard. Now, even the year one exam would follow that standard previously, but it's not a new thing. In fact, it's been used in Europe for so long already. Okay, those who take A-level UK, for example, would already follow this, and A-level has been around for, I don't know, 10, 20 years, right? But we keep up. So now every single exam that is public exam would follow CFR for English, all right? So those are the things. So you've got the I asked about the implication. So you've got the implication in terms of the change of policies, the change of curriculum, the change of program, educational programs. Okay, but there are many other things, of course, implication in terms of professionalism of the teachers for you. All right, in terms of proficiency level that you have to follow, you have to keep up when you're talking about English, in terms of designing something suitable that can make our students be more progressive, so many things. So, but I'll start at 3, because if you ask me to talk, I can talk for 2 hours and you have only half an hour. All right. Okay. So let me recap the implication in terms of the change of policies, curriculum, and also educational programs. Thank you, Ain, for the question.
And thank you to Mr. Is for that very clear explanation. Now that I know that there are 3 main points from what Mr. Is has mentioned, which is the policies change, curriculum change, and also the changes in educational program. Thank you very much.
Okay, now let's move on to second question by Nik Farah Nazirah.
Thank you, Ainul Mardhiah. So, okay, sir, let's move on to the next question. We are all aware that everyone has their own specialty and potential. In education context, students have different ability too, especially in understanding things and so on. So, would you mind sharing your opinion on this? Or maybe you have any stories based on your previous students that you are willing to share with us?
Okay, thank you, Nick. Okay, all right. So we're talking about the potential. Okay, it's a lot of jump from international performance standards to students' potential. Okay, yeah, obviously. And then as a teacher, you need to make sure that you recognize its potential. Every single person is made different. All right, there's so many differences among us. You're born to different races. You may adopt different religions. You may have, of course, you are of different gender. Okay, and for some, they have different sexual inclination or orientation. We have different socioeconomic background. You have different special ability or talent, age factor, belief, and so on. So many, and okay, these differences is interesting because they are interesting because these differences may create the way they think, they approach to life, they approach to education, they approach to things. So many differences. So when talking about potential, so you've got to make sure that the potential is harnessed, is harvested. Okay, so I'm sure you are aware of Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences, right? How many are there? How many multiple intelligences proposed by Howard Gardner, the neurosurgeon who wrote about multiple intelligences? He believes that we have so many intelligences. Okay, one person is not born to stick or to have only one. Okay, that doesn't mean that everybody knows Harith is a good footballer, that I have to be good in football too. Or Nik also has to play football. No, I was a rugby player. Okay, maybe Nik is I don't know, a boxer, a kickboxer. I don't know. All right, but the point is that are you aware of Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences?
Yes, I
Right.
think there's 8 after all.
8. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I think there are 9. I think I'm not sure if Gardner himself added, but I think there are 9 altogether. You've got this musical talent or musical intelligence. You've got the interpersonal intelligence. You've got the spatial visual intelligence. You've got linguistic verbal intelligence, intrapersonal, logical, mathematical, naturalistic, and I think the latest addition they put the spiritual. So there are 9. But I'm not so sure how far, because all this Saleh, they don't really have faith, right? So the spiritual, I don't know. But some, right, some I read, they have 9, the latest with being the spiritual intelligence. So who asking? Nik was asking that question, right? So how do we find this potential, right? How do you, okay, there are many ways of finding this potential, okay? But you want to, you ask me that I can share my own personal experience, okay? Yeah, I was in school. I've been teaching for the past 27 years, and 10 of which I was in school, and the other 17 I joined the IPG, and then I've seen so many students, and then with so many characters, with so many likes and dislikes, and interests and not. Okay, but the point here is that we want to use this to recognize their potential. It's not just potential. I mean, what they like, their interest, so that we can harness this interest to something positive. Okay. I remember. Okay, I want to tell you a story, and she's a teacher too now. All right, and then she still. I've got. Yeah, I'm a nice man. So people remember me. Okay, I've got so many stories, but this particular story that I want to tell you, I'll keep her name secret. She was very good. Her English is very good. Okay, but she lacked this self-confidence. All right, when I tried to get her to speak in public and so on, she would refuse. Why? Because she was so scared of making errors. But her English is very good. I still kept. I'm still keeping her book, some of the work that she wrote. Very nice girl. And now sometimes when push comes to shove, you've got to force people sometimes so that they can recognize. So I did this. This particular girl, and she remembers until today. She's married now. She's got 2 children already. Okay, but she still messages me. One of the things that, sir, if you do not force me to be a public speaker, I would never feel that she's got the talent to speak in public. So yeah, that's very mean of me, of course. But I saw that talent because she could write very well, but she was very scared of speaking. All right. So if you're talking about that, so point here is that you have to be observant. You have to be observant. You are teachers later. You have to be observant. All right, and then look at the areas that the student has but not yet developed. So that was one of the things. I remember when I took her to the Eastern Zone public speaking competition. All right, and then she almost cried in fear, stage fright. So I took her to a place far from people under a tree, and I said, "Look, girl, I have trust in you, right?" And then I saw the potential. So you've got to give these words of encouragement. And she got 3rd place. She may not win, but she got 3rd place. It's very good. All right. Okay. And then she still quotes me of the words that I said that particular night under the tree just to motivate her. All right. So it's a good feeling for me. And then it made her brave. And she wanted to be a teacher. She's an English teacher now. All right, so it's a good thing. Okay. Similarly, that was when I was in school. Similarly, when already here, I was already in IPG Kota Bharu. I also forced one girl to be a debater. All right. So my area of expertise is to force, but forcing is not forcing in a way that that they could do it. They've got the talent, but they're scared to open up, right? So you just show them the way, right? So again, she's teaching in Bacho area. Now she's head of, I think she's a guru kanan already. Okay, but she kept saying if she goes there, I remember one lecturer of mine forced me to be Just remember, but and then I met her a few months back before the COVID, before the pandemic. I was giving a course, and she still remember that. Thank you, sir, for forcing me to be brave enough. So, Nik, when you're talking about how do you discover, so first be observant, all right, and channel the talent towards where you think they can best fit in. You don't force a person who cannot draw to be an artist, right? So the talent must be there. Um, I don't know. Be observant. I think maybe again you don't judge too early. All right. As well, if you feel there's a story of a friend of mine um, who found that one student never took a note in any lecture, not a single note. But whenever it came to exam, that person has always scored. All right, and he will always draw. So he's got the talent of drawing. So all his notes were in the form of a drawing. That helps. So don't judge too early. So if you judge that, if you are judging too early, then you might say that that person is lazy, right? But there are things that people do and people have talent in. Certainly, there is an explanation for every single situation. When I was in school, I was a prefect teacher, right? A teacher who was in charge of prefects, right, of discipline. We've got this one particular student. I still remember in Terengganu. All right, Terengganu. They are very brave people, you know. All right, they're very brave. Okay, he will come to you and say, "I want to challenge you to a fight." All right, and that's a student, okay, saying that to you. I'm a big guy, okay, and then still brave enough for him to come and tell me that. All right, but then again, you don't. Of course, you're angry, but then again, the better side of you would say that there must be an explanation for everything. All right. Found out that, of course, it's not really a family that is stable. All right. His crowd was wrong. I mean, he mixed with the wrong group of people. So what I did, to this particular person, I haven't seen him for so long, but I met him, I think after I left school, and then he was already working at that time. He was doing okay, even though he didn't go to university. I made him a prefect. With his boxing style and boxing skill. All right, I made him a prefect. To the anger of almost every teacher in the school. But it's reverse psychology. So you see the talent. You can see this. I could see that this person was brave. Therefore, every other student would be scared of him. If he was the one who instilled discipline in the school, nobody will go against him. I've got an easy job, right? And true enough, he was never involved in a single fight from that day onward until he left school. There was one time, one teacher who came up to me and telling me the story. Iskandar, I think your strategy worked. Why? Because this boy, somebody angered him so much that he wanted to punch the boy, but he was holding his anger. Why? Because he was wearing the prefect shirt. So it worked, all right? And he told this Cikgu, all right, my friend, Cikgu, if I'm not wearing this one, I would have punched that boy. So you can see that talent is there in every single one of us. So it's just how do you want to channel this talent, all right? So be observant. Don't judge too early. I am sure there is an explanation for every single situation. Okay, communicate, find out, talk. All right, because our work is to find solutions, not to complicate matters. All right, and then of course get the right approach. So if you do these 5 things, answering to Nick's question, be observant, don't judge too early, look for explanation in every difficult situation, communicate, and then you get the right approach, then you will bring out the best in the student's potential for every situation, in either in academic world or in terms of discipline and leadership. So two stories. There are many stories, of course. I can write a chicken soup for teachers and that kind of stories. But yeah, those are the three stories that I remember the most lah. I remember the most. Of course lah, they're the bad side of me as well kan. And I met sometimes because I was a rugby coach as well when I was in school. Okay, quite a number of them still remember me for being stern. But you have to be stern at the right time and the right place. Okay, you cannot be stern or strict for no reason whatsoever. There are times that you, of course, you must be approachable. But when you're angry, they know that it's them, it's not the teacher. All right. So don't be too strict, Harith. Don't slap students for no reason, or don't slap students for every little mistake that you do. Or Ain, don't cubit, pinch a student for every little mistake. I know. Nik, don't look cool head, knock on their head for every little thing. Aisyah. All right. So be observant. Don't judge too early. Look for explanation for every situation. Communicate and get the right approach. I'm sure you can draw out all the best potentials in students. That's what I want to say. Thank you, Nik, for the question.
Okay, thank you, sir, for sharing your opinion and that very beautiful and inspirational story that how someone that was so scared of speaking publicly can now be a teacher. And of course, the prefect boy story, that's marvelous. It shows how students' potential actually can be polished and teachers play a very significant role in doing that. Thank you a lot, sir, for your answer. Now let's
sharing.
go back.
Not my answer, my sharing.
Yeah, you're sharing.
Just
Thank you,
sharing
sir.
with you my experience. Okay, yeah. Nice.
All right.
Question.
Then here come my part. So my question is, based on your educational experience of 27 years, do you acknowledge or do you recognize any Ministry of Education's effort to elevate teaching profession?
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Elevating teaching profession. Now, let me ask you a question before I answer that. What do you think is the level of teaching profession in Malaysia at the moment?
As for me, I think from a society perspective, uh, teacher is not being that respectful towards something. For example, we can see that when teacher recording herself scolding the children, and that shows how teacher is not really professional in their teaching experience, in their teaching process. Yeah.
All right. Teachers themselves are not respectful of their own profession. That's a disease. All right. So, what about you, Harith? What do you think about the teaching profession at the moment? At what level are we at now?
My opinion is the teacher profession right now is stagnant.
Stagnant.
Yes.
We're not going anywhere.
Um, it's
Right.
not
Okay, good.
it's not really going anywhere, but there is no significant improvement.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right. Interesting. It's very insightful. What do you think, Aisyah?
I agree with Harith's opinion as well, because that is how I look in today's education in Malaysia. There is no certain development in education like the same 4 years.
All right. Okay. Nice. Okay, Nik, what do you think, Nik? You think it's the same?
Well, my opinion is that teachers in our country right now, when I go to Twitter or when I read, some things online, there are stories, like bad stories, I can say, people talk about their previous teachers. And that shows that teachers, teachers actually violated some rules that teachers shouldn't do. And that somehow make students actually remember the story until they are adult and they look down on teachers' profession.
Very true. I have a story on that one. I can tell you that story. What do you think, Ain?
I agree with all of them because nowadays I think that teachers they violated the uh, teacher teaching profession ethics. They sometimes do disrespectful things such as sometimes they hit the kids, the students, and also some of them even sexually assaulted the
Yeah.
students. That's really sad for me.
Yeah. I have seen and gone through every single thing that you said. And I've seen it, I've heard it, I've gone through it. I've seen my friends who were involved in those kind of things. It's very sad. It's very sad. My own good friend, yeah, you were talking about sexual uh, uh, um, assault on students, all right? Uh, uh, but when you're talking about this elevating teaching profession, is it on the society or is it on us? Is it us that's responsible to elevate ourselves to put us up, to push us even further up? Now, I've seen three phases. Maybe now when you mentioned that, I think there could be four phases already. Uh, um, the journey of uh, um, the teaching professionalism in Malaysia. You started that, let's say, pre-independence and just post-independence, right? When you see the teachers were the ones that the community looked up to, all right? Everybody wanted to have a teacher as their menantu, their in-law, right? Okay, and you could see that the teachers were also community leaders at that time. In fact, there were also um, political leaders. You could see that the movement like the pro-independent movements at that time were also led by teachers. There were many old, or maybe they have passed on now, right? Teachers who, so those were the time when teachers were seen as they were highly respected, they were highly regarded. It's a profession that everybody wanted their children to be, and also to have one as menantu lah, as in-law. All right, that's phase one. So lucky lah you guys later. And then you've got later, we lost the prestige, all right, to professions like lawyers, doctors, engineers. Why? Because society started looking at money as something, as a benchmark in life. It's sad, right? Teachers are not well paid, especially if you're non-graduate teachers. My friends said they started with 300 ringgit, all right, at that time, okay, which is very low. And then teachers, because of this low payment, started to do what Ain said just now, right? To be business person as well. Okay, at that time. So the history of teachers doing business or doing the side job to earn extra is not a new thing. When I started teaching, they were already doing. In fact, even before I started teaching, teachers were already doing other jobs. Okay, so the issue here is that, do we earn enough so that for us to keep ourselves going comfortably? Are we earning enough? All right. But then again, it depends on the lifestyle as well. How do you live? All right. So that's the second phase, when we lost our prestige to other professions. Okay. And you could see at that time, teachers got sued so many times. Okay. Because parents, they didn't care about the teachers. They felt that they were better than the teachers. And ministry fought over this. Okay. They hired lawyers for the teachers. Then we were reaching to the phase where nobody cares, right? Yeah, even the teachers themselves, like what I know mentioned just now, they don't care about their own profession. right? I saw this in I'm not active at all in FB, but for that particular time, I happened to open my FB. Okay, don't add me as friends because I never opened it for the past 2 years. Okay, I don't open my FB for the past 2 years. It's such a bother for me. Okay, I've got enough WhatsApp. Right? Now, my own former student was selling something, taping. Her lesson was good. Right, I was proud of her lesson, but she was also using the lesson to promote the product that she wanted to sell and post it on FB. Can you imagine? And then I didn't know about it because I wasn't really bothered by FB, by my other friend who happened to watch it on FB, and then he mentioned to me. All right, and we were both feeling very sad. And then my friend said, "Oh my God, that's one of my favorite students, and she's doing that to me." I was sad. So it's not how far you have groomed your students to be. Sometimes students who were less performing in school would make you proud even more. I was telling you, I've got a story. All right, just now, Nik. My friend, who was a teacher for many years, okay, he went to a pasar malam, a night market one day. All right, because I want to compare two stories now. It makes this very interesting. The insight of the life of being a teacher. This friend of mine, a good friend, he's retired already. He went to pasar malam, but he went to pasar malam before, some years back, before he retired. He wanted to buy socks because he's got socks, worn out socks already. So he needed new socks. So he went to pasar malam, to the night market, and there's a store selling pasar malam, selling socks. All right, and then he approaches the stall, and then the student, the man manning the owner of the store said, "Sir, haven't seen you for so long, sir." And he remembered. Okay, and then they chatted, and then talking about school time. Then he picked the socks. Then he wanted to pay, and the student said, "No, sir, that's on me." All right, okay, fine. That's a very nice gesture from the student. Okay, but the nicer gesture will happen after that. My friend said, "No, you are doing business, you need money, let me pay for this." And his answer was the one that was touched my friend so much. "Sir, it's because of you that I could learn how to read and write, and I could sell these socks." Can you imagine? It's not just, you may not be a lawyer, you may not be a banker, all right? But you appreciate this. So this is already an example of elevating how teaching profession is seen, right, by the public. So, but sadly speaking, at the moment, we ourselves are not giving ourselves justice, all right? As you said, and then in this world of gadgets, people videotape every little thing that you do. Okay, comparing that story just now to a friend of mine who was spat at by a former student, and the person himself told me the story that he was spat at by a student. So you can tell, all right? So you can tell. I was chased by my student because I was a disciplinary master. All right, I was chased. My wife was panicking by 3 students of mine who I used to cane when I was in school. Okay, but they came around and they hugged me. We haven't seen you for so long, sir. And I said, "Oh." My wife was like, "All right," because you know that when you are telling them off, they know because you told them off because it's their fault. It's not something that you do for nothing. So elevating the performance. Yeah, I think ministry has done so many things already. I think number one will be upgrading the maktab, right? The teacher training college to IPG, right? In the old days, I think we only train the diploma students, but now you are graduates. You will end your undergraduate life with a degree. All right, so that's number one, elevating the profession. I think number two, in the old days, the training took only about 2 years to be a teacher. All right, now it's 5 years. So that means obviously the ministry has thought a lot more in giving training, perfecting in a way the profession. Then you've got the remuneration scale, as mentioned just now. Now you have a better pay. My daughter is also a teacher, and she started her pay. I think you guys are later. You are the product of the fight, all right, of what the teaching union has been asking for so many years. My mother-in-law is a teacher as well, and she said, we fought for that one. We never got that, but you guys got it. So we fought for now, and you guys are gonna get it. Okay. For example, different scheme, different remunerations, difficult to say, remuneration, pay scale. All right. I started with DG1, DG2, DG3. Now you've got DG41 up to DG54. The payment is the remuneration scale is much higher now than before. So that makes profession something that people really want to be in. Okay, and then also the quality of the intake. In the old days, if you couldn't go to university, you go to IP, you go to Maktab, right? And then obviously the qualification, academic qualification to enroll into Maktab was much lower than going to university. But now, for you're the same. All right, you've got to have at least 5 A's. But I'm sure you don't get 5 A's. You've got more than 5 A's because it's the same system as university. So the quality is there. All right, and then you've got these. What do you call it? Master teacher, Guru Cemerlang, right? Yeah. So that the ministry created also the path for you to be higher, moving up in terms of we're taking more than 30 minutes already. See, when I start talking, I forget myself.
No worries, sir. You can just continue.
All right, so better master teacher, right? So we call it master teacher, or people call it excellent teacher. So that teachers can move up very fast in paying in the scale of payment or remuneration scale. Then you've got this Standard Guru Malaysia, right? SGM, which was created by the Ministry of Education. So all these efforts, I think, would be to help elevating the teaching profession. Is it working? Are they all working so well? Yes, to a certain extent. But as I said, and I think Ainul mentioned just now that we ourselves are being disrespectful to our own profession. All right. So on one hand, we want a ministry MOE to help us to elevate our profession, but we ourselves, we are not doing justice to our own profession. So it's something to think about. Okay, so if I can sum up, I think MOE has upgraded our training by now putting in the designing a degree program like you in IPG. We have created, MOE has prolong the training system, the training duration to now to 5 years. You've got they have upgraded their remuneration scale. Okay, the salaries now is much higher. We also select quality students to be in. Okay, and then you have programs like or like this master teacher thing. All right, so teacher can be reach a higher salary, a higher grade in a faster time. Okay, and then you also create, there's so many, I think, like SGM also. All right, so all this would help elevate the teaching profession. I think, of course, MOE has done quite a lot to help. So it's up to us now. Are we going to help ourselves, our own profession. Thank you, Ainul.
Okay. So here what I can conclude from my question is just now is government or Ministry of Education has said many things to elevate teacher profession, but at the end of the day, the teacher itself have to elevate their profession based on their manner of teaching and educating the people.
Yep.
All right.
That's about how I feel. How I feel. All right.
All right, let's move on to the first question by Aisyah Syakirah. Welcome.
Thank you, Ainul. Okay, first of all, thank you, Mr. Is, for being with us today. Regarding my question, international standard performance, as we all know, it can be used as a measure for each teacher's minimum competence in carrying out daily tasks. And this include those things related to their personal, professional, and social aspect. So my question is, from your opinion, do you think the international standard performance really give its impact and really contribute in terms of producing a competent and global teacher? That's my
Okay.
question.
Wow. You are very far ahead, isn't it? Okay. But this question, thank you, Aisha. But this question can be related to what Ain asked just now, right? It's very much related, right? Talking about international standard performance. Has it? Sorry, have we got the impact? Right? Is that your question, Aisha?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I think yes. I would say yes, but I'm not so sure whether we have reached a certain level where we have, maximized the impact. But we certainly have. If you go back to what we talked about, Ain's question just now when I was answering her question, if we go back historically, right? Sorry. Okay, I haven't had breakfast yet, so maybe my mouth is a bit dry. Okay, if we go back historically, how we move from one stage to another, right? And we're now at a stage when we could already provide or sell our education to foreigners. If you go to universities, we may not have it yet in schools, right? Or we may not have them yet here in IPG, but most universities would already accept foreign students for master's degree or PhD programs. That is a sign that, yes, our education system has reached a certain international standard. So the impact is already there. Okay, is it a huge impact? Depending on how you see it. If you are talking about selling education overseas, so that they can come and study here, yeah, we have reached a certain level, but we haven't really reached that full the maximum capacity yet. But to say has it reached its impact? I would say yes. Okay. We have improved a lot, in fact. So we can see that we talk about the curriculum just now, right? We have changed our curriculum. If we have not compared ourselves with the international standard performance, we wouldn't be changing our curriculum. So one of the impacts is that it's a change of curriculum. We, the teachers, you are new teachers, all right? So you are later when you are doing all this teaching methodology, you could see that I am a seasoned teacher already. So I could see the movement from the pedagogical approaches from when I started teaching until now. We used to be like very teacher-centered teaching, but now we are very much doing student-centered teaching. Right? So impact is already there. The pedagogical impact is there. And we have other approaches to consider as well. We have problem-based learning. We have the latest would be the NPDL, new pedagogical deep learning. All right. So all these are the impacts, and we have embraced these changes. So Yes, I would say we have seen the impact, and then we certainly followed the global trends in terms of international standard performance. Aisha, does that answer your question?
Yes, Mr.
All
is
right. But
very
whether
well.
we have reached the level that we want to, I'm not so sure. I think there are more that we need a long way to go still. But yes, the impact can be seen already. All right. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. East, for sharing your opinion, and I agree with you. I think we have also reach the certain level in the international approach in education. Like,
Mhm.
okay, so
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Hopefully, we can do more. I would love to see foreign students coming and learning at IPG. That would be something, But I'll be retiring soon, so I don't know whether my time is. But it's gonna be you, all right? It's gonna be you who carry on the tradition.
inshallah one day.
Inshallah, inshallah. Okay, next question.
Yes, next question from Harith. Please welcome.
Okay, thank you, Ainul. Um, Today, I would like to ask you a question regarding our standard of education in Malaysia. Before that, I would like to give you a little information about this question.
Mm-hmm.
All right. According to Dr. Ismail Swalman, our quality of education is ranked second among Southeast Asian countries. This shows how our government committed in maintaining our quality of education. My question is, what do you think our Ministry of Education has done to attain this level of education standard? Please.
Right. Okay. Nice when you say that. What year was that quotation taken? That
2019.
2019. Okay. We are not doing that well in PISA. All right. We lost, in fact, Vietnam and Cambodia. We are way behind from Singapore compared to Singapore for so long already. But I agree with you but that is in terms of a performance, all right? But in terms of facilities and infrastructure, we are one of the best in Southeast Asia. Maybe Singapore will be the only country that surpasses us in terms of infrastructure and facilities. Yes, we have. Yeah, my friend went to Indonesia, and the Indonesian said, even the schools in Malaysia are bigger than the universities in Indonesia. All right, certain universities, not all, but then again, yes. So, what have we done? So, I will agree with the statement halfway. All right, that we are second. We are certainly second in terms of infrastructure and facilities, but performance-wise, I am not so sure. All right, because we are not doing that well in PISA. Ain mentioned just now, right? Math, science, and what? Science, maths, and language in PISA.
Yes.
Yeah,
Science, math, language.
yeah. So I'm not so sure, right? So Harith, I agree with the statement. I'm not disagreeing with you with the statement just now, right? So I would rather play safe and get halfway. I agree halfway, 50%. Okay. What have we done? Okay, I think in terms of MOE, what have they done to actually attain this global education standard? I think the main idea that the point when have you looked at the national the Malaysian Education Blueprint 2013-2025? Have you
Yes.
gone through?
Yes, yes.
Okay. That is one of the results of trying to attain to the global standard. Okay, so that's why if you look at the shifts, you have the 11 shifts, all right? I don't remember all the 11, but at least the first one would be the equal access of education for everyone, meaning that even if you are posted Aisyah to Sarawak, all right, or Ain posted to Sabah, Harith posted to Ulu Kelantan, I know posted to, I don't know, Pasir Berdengung where somewhere, and I don't know, Gua Musang. My daughter is now in Gua Musang. Okay, right. So doesn't matter who the student, where the students are, but they should get equal access to quality education. Okay, the sorry, that was a second. No, yeah. First one, isn't it? Equal access to education is the first one.
Yes.
Then they added that equal access of international standard. Okay, that means we have to prepare them. Now, some people might argue that how can you provide international standard education to places and schools where they are way inside the rural areas. You don't even have education. You don't even have electricity. Okay, but that's wrong, isn't it? Because international standard of education is not only about the facilities. It's about the way you deliver. All right. My wife has been following one IPG student who's teaching in in a rural area, because I'm not an FB guy, so all right. So my wife does. She follows this one teacher, and he won an award, and he's been teaching in a very rural area. I can't remember his name though, and he's very creative. So whenever he wanted to post his program, on his Facebook and everything, he's got to go out weekly from the area that he's teaching. But and then also he goes out weekly to the nearby town to get all these teaching aids that he wants to use. So he goes back inside his school. There's no electricity, there's no coverage, internet coverage even. But that does not stop him from getting the award. All right. So international standard here means how do you deliver? So you can't really blame or put simply on facilities only. All right. So that's number one. So having the 11 shifts is already one way of attaining this global standard, in fact. Okay. So if I can quickly glance at the note here of the 11th shift, because I don't remember all. The one I mentioned just now, providing equal access to education of international standard. Then you've got number 2, ensuring proficiency in BM and English. That is important, isn't it? The second one, English, because we want to compete globally. So if you do not put English there, in fact, it's not just English now, because schools are also encouraged to give a third language, on alternative like French, Arabic, German, Spanish, in fact, Korean. Okay. Then maybe number 3 is instilling values in the citizens of Malaysia. The value is that, what is value? Something that you should use to positively, right? Something that you should use positively to either yourself, the people around you, for your community, in fact, for our whole country. So the values is that if you have the value of promoting your country's education, you can compete globally as well. Number 4, making teaching a profession of choice. So this is one thing good. It's interesting because you want to be a teacher because you want to be a teacher, not because your father put a gun on your head, all right? Or not because your mother filled in the form for you. Maybe it sounds familiar. Nik is smiling. Who filled in the form for you, Nik?
I did.
Okay, all right. Because I've got so many candidates when because I said being observant, there were many many students who would very hesitate to learn, and then they were not showing any interest. That's how I would call them. There are quite a number. One girl cried in front of me. She wanted so much to be a chemical engineer. All right, and she's got an offer to go to Australia. But the mother wanted her to be a teacher. Being an obedient daughter, she reluctantly accepts. But she's already teaching now. That was years ago. But we don't want that to happen. But then again, she was very good. Okay, she accepted the fact that this is the God's fate. All right. So trying to please. I said, and what I told her was that you are doing You're getting every single second that you spend in the class, and then later when you teach, you earn a huge good deeds from God. Why? Because of course you're teaching. Every single act is observed by God, and then it will return to you tenfold, right? And then number two, because you're doing for the sake of your mother. Can you imagine that? All right. So yeah, luckily she's a good kid, a very good girl, very good girl. But she cried because she didn't want to. So we don't want that. Okay, but luckily she was a type who actually, could turn things around and be positive. Okay, that's one case. Another case, a boy, all right, who was already doing engineering in a local polytechnic, but the father wanted him to be a teacher. So pull him out. Okay, well, he's got the offer anyway. Pull him out, put him in IPG. All right, and didn't last long. And now what happened? Well, she passed his foundation years, PPSMP, but I think he didn't last. Sorry, he didn't last the first year. All right, he had so many problems. I met him because he's local. All right, now and then he never speaks to me because I was the head of department at that time. He was a TESOL student. He was very embarrassed, I suppose. So I'm not going to bother him. But he's not doing anything. He didn't continue his studies. So that's the impact. All right. So we want to make teaching as a profession of choice, not because you couldn't find any job, not because you got KPLI or PDPP, right? Okay, because you have no job, you've got a wife to support, a family to support. Therefore, what's your choice? The last choice now, we are opening 18,000, we are creating 18,000 posts, right, soon. Okay, and you can see that people will flocking and joining our teaching profession. And how many of those joining because they really want to be a teacher? Or is it simply because they want to survive? But I'm sure, Harith, you do want to be a teacher, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
My ideal profession is to be a teacher.
Your parents are teachers too?
Yes.
Yeah. It's traditional. Okay. All right. But it's okay, good. But there's so many. Those are only two cases. Not only the two cases I could tell you. All right. How, why, making sure that teaching profession is a profession of choice is very important. Then you have the performing leaders in school, right? Of course, you need that. And then, number 6 does not concern the question so much. Number 7, using ICT to improve teaching and learning quality. Yes, when you're competing globally, you need to make sure that the internet facilities, knowledge of ICT can be used for you, right? So that then you can have the global impact. If you are not able to, because you can't be selling your education or performing or running a course in Malaysia when you want the participants to be in Singapore and US, right? So, but it's a good thing. Investment, I think we are moving towards that, even though it's a bit slow, all right? But we're moving towards that, okay? We are moving. And there are so many schools. When I visited schools, looking at your seniors doing the teaching practice, there were so many language labs not working. Right, so maintenance is very poor, but nonetheless we are moving towards that. And then I can see that I am an old man, all right, an older generation. Computer only came about en masse, all right, in large scale in 1993, 92, 93. All right, I was already in the final year university. I did my assignment by hand. We use typewriter. So a shift was, for me, shifting from those manual gadgets to these technical gadgets is a huge jump for me. In fact, and it's a miracle that I can click and use Google Meet with you guys now. Right? Okay. My son keeps saying, "Lah, senang, yeah, it's very easy." And that's easy for you, but it's not easy for me. All right. But then again, I take the challenge. So that's good. Okay. And a shift number 8 will be improving the ability to deliver education on the teachers. All right. So you've got to be able to deliver the education well, the teaching well. Okay, then you've got shift 9, improving and building better cooperation with parents, community, and private sectors. Number 10, shift number 10 will be maximizing every ringgit for development of students. But number 11 is very interesting for me because number 11 says that is the final one, improving public accountability. If I were the minister, I would put number 11 as number 1 because when you put accountability for everything, then everything will be transparent. You will be spending the money wisely. You will be teaching wisely. You will try to improve yourself as a teacher very well. You will be very professional. So if I were the minister, but I'm not, right? I will put shift number 11 first in terms of importance, because if you are accountable, if every teacher is accountable, if every single person, every minister is accountable, every political leader is accountable, then we're not going to mess up too much, right? It's a messy situation. And you know this already. I'm not going to explain because this is recorded. But this current situation, in this pandemic situation, we are scared. Everybody is scared. Okay, I don't allow my kids to go out unless it's very necessary. Okay, so yeah, be accountable. So answering Harith's question, what have we done? So one of the things that we've done is to change, right? So to the Malaysia Education Blueprint 2013 to 2025 is one of the ways to reach the global standard. And then in that we have the 11 shifts. Then these shifts can, they are closely related to this impact. Okay, to this, but to attain the global standard. Okay, but then again, there are other ways as well, because you also have other programs to keep abreast. It's not just in the national blueprint, right? So for example, we need to also do research culture. You guys are doing research culture. You'll be doing research. Reading is research, as simple as that. But you'll be doing research. My wife's teaching Form 6, all right? And they have to do a research, the action research, which it's optional now for you. Okay, in the old, I think 2 years back, it was compulsory for every final year student IPG to do action research, but it's optional now. So yes, MOE has actually tried quite a lot in terms of attaining the global standard, and one of the ways was to change, to improve our education policy in the National Blueprint 2013-2025. And in that, you've got these 11 shifts that are directly related to that. Is that okay, Harith? Harith, am I answering your question?
Yes, you answer my question very thoroughly.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you to you too.
Relieved so that I could, entertain your questions. And I hope my questions are correct. I'm sorry, my answers are correct, and they can be used to help you do your coursework. And then I have taken more than half an hour, a lot more than half an hour. I think more like an hour than half an hour.
That's
Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, such an informative and inspiring virtual meeting we had right now. So, in short, we can say that our country's education system is quite well focused. For the main character is the teacher itself, and I can say the props is the education process, the syllabus, and all. So, with the globalization and great accessibility that we have on knowledge, on social media, and the technology, I think we Malaysian can execute international performance standard in order to build up greater students in the future. So, for every beginning, there is an end, of course. And now, so does our meeting for today. Again, I want to say just thank you to Mr. Iskandar for your time and your cooperation to join this virtual meeting. With that, Assalamualaikum, goodbye, and stay safe, everyone.
Thank you very much for having me. Okay, I'm glad that I was able to answer you. Whether the answers are correct or not, then I don't know. Right, to the best of my ability.